I am here at Comic-Con with artist extraordinaire Frazer Irving. Frazer, how's your Comic-Con experience so far?
Very tiring.
Very tiring?
Lots of walking. I've walked about 15 miles each day up and down that convention floor.
Do you usually have a big meal before you come to these conventions just to see how much weight you can lose by the end?
Actually, right, since coming here, I realized that one of the main things that tempts me back to San Diego is the fact that the American breakfasts are so tasty, and I can have as much as I want at the buffet. And today I had to have less because I'm thinking it's actually the weight that's making me kind of feel it's slowing me down. But yeah, when I get home, it's nothing but steamed vegetables and steamed fruit.
Now, you started your career in a little magazine the Brits might know as 2000 AD, and a decade later, you're on one of the most popular superheroes of all time, Batman, working with one of the most creative minds of Batman, Mr. Grant Morrison. Did you ever expect to be where you're at 10 years later, when you started out on 2000 AD?
Okay, expect is the wrong word. I kind of
Did you envision it?
Oh, I could totally envision it. Yeah. My ambition in terms of projecting my possible future is immense. You know, I can imagine a hell of a lot. And I always imagine different things every time I put myself in all sorts of different positions. How it actually turns out, the truth is far stranger than fiction. It doesn't surprise me in a really weird way that I actually got here. Although at the same time, I am surprised, if that makes sense. Because I get my first job, so I'm thinking I'm just happy to be making some money. Although it would be really nice if I ruled the world. And then when I actually kind of get to working on a really high-selling book, I do pause at some point and think, "Ooh, hey, I've achieved that goal. This is amazing." But then I kind of already achieved it in my fantasies many times over. So it's not gonna go to my head, not going to make me think that now I'm a big shot, I can do anything I want.
Part the way.
Exactly. I think it's very important to kind of go through those things in your head before you get to them, to kind of just to see how you would actually react. And basically, I got to the point now where it doesn't really matter how big the job is. It always all boils down to one thing, which is doing the work, getting in on time, and making sure you're constantly looking at the next job.
Because I'm sure editors appreciate an artist who can get their work in on time, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay, when I first started out, I had a reputation as the new Charlie Adlard, which meant I could do stuff very fast. So I was the go-to man for doing emergency jobs on 2000 AD. However, since then, I've wanted to kind of stop hacking stuff out and make sure that I can get the work as good as possible while still on time. There are always external factors that come into play which can prevent you from hitting the ideal deadline, and that's not always down to me. It's down to often the writer or the publishers or just bad luck. I have to say though, I haven't actually missed any agreed print deadlines. If anything's ever shipped late, it's because it was agreed later on or earlier on that we needed more time to do stuff. I mean, I know some people are really lazy and unreliable, and so therefore by comparison I'd like to think, I hope, that I am looked upon more favourably. Although, like I said, it's it would be much nicer to kind of have everything planned out in ahead far better, so therefore no deadline is ever missed.
Now, your style in art is very distinguished. It's kind of like a painted style. What's your process like? Usually, do you have an average on how long it takes you to do a page?
An average. Okay, I can knock out a page in 3 hours, depending on the page, and depending on how easy I can visualize it and how willing I am to use certain shortcuts. Some pages, the most 90% of it could take 2 hours, and then that 110% could take me 3 days. It depends on just how inspiring the script is, how difficult the research is, and how hot the pressure is. Batman and Robin issue 13. I had to do the last 12 pages of that in 12 days. It was a page a day. That was it. That was the deadline. Wow. I'd used up all the slack time I had to before them, and it got done. And I can honestly say that I look at those pages and I don't see any corners cut. I was quite pleased with that. But this isn't something that you could properly boil down to an average, because otherwise people would say, well then why don't you do a page a day every day? It's there are some days you just wake up and it's
I'm not a human.
Yeah, it depends on so many different circumstances. For me, the worst part is the thumbnailing. I mean, to visualize someone else's vision I mean, they describe something. You could like write out a passage from Lord of the Rings, and I can't just read it and then just draw it. I've got to see it in my head as well. And if it's not translating, I've got to somehow reimagine it. And sometimes that is the worst stage, because you're looking at a blank piece of paper or very, very boring layouts. With Grant's work, he's giving me less direction and giving me more emotion, so therefore I can stage it a little bit more myself. And as we're working on this, we're getting to know each other a bit more. Hopefully this will continue, because this speeds everything up, makes it more interesting, and like you say, like makes it more my style. But in terms of process, I sit down, I sketch on the computer, I look at it, have tea, come back, fix it, and then I just go straight into kind of making the artwork happen. It's not like the old days where you'd pencil, you'd ink, you'd erase, you'd scan. None of that. It's far more organic nowadays.
Now, when working with a creator like Grant Morrison, does he give you the entire story of, even if you're not on the arc, of what his vision for the future is, or is it pretty lock and key and you only know whatever's in your arc?
The latter.
The latter? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I would like to know what's happening, the whole thing, but then...
But you got to buy the issues yourself, yeah.
Yeah, and or get them sent to me for free, hopefully, as research. But I kind of think part of that plan is to kind of... Grant often wants to collaborate organically with the artist. He has a plan, but like the details might change depending on how the artist draws certain things. I certainly know that for Clarion. It's like he started making references to Clarion having like gothy eye makeup, and that was definitely down to me drawing his eyes in a certain style. And I think Batman and Robin, especially the Joker, is like being modified slightly in terms of how he behaves due to how I drew him. And so therefore, you know, he can't give me the whole story because the details might change slightly.
Right. And your Joker is like one of the creepiest interpretations of the Joker I've ever seen. Where did you draw inspiration from, or did you have like a certain actor you based it off of?
All right, okay. I met Brian Bolland in Croatia a couple of years ago, and he confessed to me, he says he invented a character called Judge Death for 2000 AD. And he said he just basically wanted to draw the Joker, but he didn't work at DC, so Judge Death was his version of the Joker. Now, I did the other way around. It's like, I really got into Judge Death. I drew him for quite a while. And now the Joker is like, my kind of like, I'm seeing him as Judge Death in many respects. However, Judge Death was dead, so therefore he didn't have like human temptations. The Joker has all the sinful temptations that humanity can have. He's a man, you know, but he has all the kind of evil of Judge Death in him. And I don't need to take inspiration from anyone else or any other kind of like personalities for this, because I project this upon this kind of like this framework of a character, and he starts acting. He's alive as I draw the page, and which is how I think it should work. The characters should act for you to the point where they're doing things and you think, I don't want you to do that. Please don't. Stop. But they keep doing it. And the more I draw him, you know, the more he gets inside my head, which isn't necessarily a good thing.
And finally, if fans want more of Frazer Irving on the web, where can they find you at?
www.frazerirving.com. But you got to spell it right. It's F-R-A-Z-E-R-I-R-V-I-N-G.
Unfortunately, over here in the American alphabet, we don't have a Z, so I guess we can't get the URL. But in the meantime, Frazer, thank you so much for your time. I hope you have a great Comic-Con.
Cheers, man. Thanks.
Cheers. Frazer Irving. I'm here live at Rising Sun Creations booth here at Comic-Con at booth 235. As you can see, they're almost out of everything. Ed is living up to his promise and taking all their money. So if you want more Rising Sun Creations goodness, you can head over to their website at rsc-online.com. From there you can shop on their online store, or if you live in the San Diego area, go over to their Mission Valley location, and it's just a stop away if you take the Green Line trolley. Also, big shout out to deadlinegraphics.net. If you go to deadlinegraphics.net, you can get any custom-made t-shirt, DC, Marvel, Image, Dark Horse, whatever you want. There's only one name that I trust, and it's Kelly at deadlinegraphics.net. So we've had our fun, we've had our stop here at Rising Sun. Now we're going to go ahead and get right back into the interviews. We are here watching the illustrious Rich Johnston type and submit stories to bleedingcool.com. Rich, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well indeed. I've lost my voice. My voice is gone absolutely, but I don't need to talk to type.
How many panels have you gone to today?
I've been to about 3 or 4, and I've also sold various rights to avatars to various countries. I've pitched a new comic book to a bunch of publishers, and I've got 2 or 3 very interested, and at some point I'll be sleeping.
And now, have you seen Ron Mars yet today? How's your jaw feeling?
I haven't seen him yet. I mean, I do owe him a kiss.
Okay.
And given the first opportunity, I will try and stick my tongue down his throat.
Okay. A little forward. Now, Rich, if people want to know where you blog, where your stories are, where can they find you on the web?
They can find me at bleedingcool.com, or just Google for me. It's like, I'm everywhere, I really am.
Okay. Rich Johnston, everybody.
Hey.